Today we're going to show you how to use Remotes Unlimited CASE-NI41 to replace the case of a used Nissan or Infiniti remote. Before you start, we recommend you do a few things. First of all, you may need some tools. In this case, I recommend that you have some kind of knife with a knife blade like that. I always have coins around to open cases. In this case, a quarter will work well. Before you start, you should check the back of the package and note that it tells you that this case will only fit similar looking OE remotes with FCC ID CASE-NI41 on the back. There are remotes similar looking to this remote made by Nissan and Infiniti that have different FCC IDs on the back. It may have FCC IDs starting with CWT, or it may have an FCC ID CASE-NI41. CASE-NI41 remote doesn't look exactly like this, but it's similar in shape. This replacement case will not work for those others, or if it works, it'll be difficult. So we recommend that you only try and use it with remotes that have FCC ID CASE-NI41 on the back. Let's start by opening up the package. Contains a new battery, an insert card, and the replacement case with the button pad inside. The replacement case is usually attached with fugitive glue to the insert card. In this case, it came off on the insert card, so we don't need to worry about it. If it comes off on the back of the remote, you can just rub it with your hand to remove it from the back of the remote. The insert card has step-by-step instructions inside, as well as other important information. In this case, it'll also tell you that you're going to have to move the battery clip or battery contact from inside your old remote, as well as the circuit board, into the new remote. Let's start by opening up the new remote. On these remotes, the old and the new, there's a slot at the base that you can fit a quarter in and just pry apart, and it'll pry these apart. In this case, the new remote was already partially apart, so it was very easy. And the new remote has a button pad inside. Looks like that. We'll leave that right there for now. Now let's open the used remote. In this case, we'll pry it apart with a quarter. This one again came apart fairly easily because it's a pretty new remote, but sometimes old ones you have to pry gently and you usually snap apart. Then we want to pull the circuit board out by lifting on the edge of the bladder. If it doesn't come out easily, it could be a tight fit, or the rubber could have kind of sealed itself against the edge. You can press the buttons on the front and push it out that way. And then once you have it out, you're going to want to take the circuit board out of the old button pad. Set that aside. You can go ahead and put the circuit board into the new button pad. It's very clear how it needs to be oriented to fit inside. It should sit down inside so that it's kind of uniformly at a uniform depth inside the button pad. And then you set the button pad inside the front of the new case. You should try not to handle the components, but turn it over and make sure that all the buttons are fitting through the front of the case in a uniform fashion. We'll set that down. Now, the most challenging part of changing this case has to do with the battery contact. You see that the battery is here with a battery contact underneath it. First, we're going to put the blade of this knife under the edge and just pry the battery up. It should just pop up. You should note that on the battery, the plus side of the old battery was face down against the back of the case, and we'll do the same when we put it back in. You should also note that this is a CR2025 battery, and that's the only button battery that will work with this Nissan remote, so make sure that the replacement battery is also a CR2025 battery, as it should be. Now inside you'll see there's a battery contact sitting on the bottom. it's sitting kind of pressed up underneath this little plastic ridge here, and on a little plastic pin right there, there's a hole in the contact. Now on many of them it will be very tight on this pin. On this one it looks like it's a little bit loose, but it should be very tight on that pin. In order to open it or pry it up, what you need to do is get the blade of the knife up underneath, pry up from one side, and then if it starts to bend at all, come in from the other side and pry up from the other side until you get it off of that post. Once it's off that post, it'll just slide out from underneath the other end. Now we need to put that into the back of the new case in the same position. You see how it slides up underneath, and there's also a pin right there. I usually just try and push down on both sides of the post with my thumbnail to get it to stay in position while I'm putting the battery in. Then we'll take the new battery, and again the plus side needs to be face down. Usually when I handle batteries I try and do it with a Kleenex or something to avoid getting oil on it. And then that should kind of snap down in place if it's in the right position. Now in this case we just knocked the battery clip, so I'm going to pull up the battery again. Make sure that's back in the right position and sitting on my post. You can use the edge of the blade also to push down along the side of the post to make sure that it fits. Again, we'll take the new battery, set it on there, and place it in position like that. When you have it in that position, you can leave the front facing down, flip the back over it, make sure it's aligned properly, and press till you hear a good snap like that. Once it's together, you should have a good, even seal all the way around. And voila, there's the replacement case on your old circuit board.